very good background music, but
Good morning. Sorry, what was that? Miss Louise is exiting into the bedroom to drink coffee and see if she can throw up again. She's not going to be joining us today. She might a little bit later. She can find some knickers and feels a bit better. You never know. Your luck in the big city, as they say. Miracles and wonder down under, everybody. This is Tuesday morning in Australia. Very exciting. It's still winter, but it doesn't feel as cold as last week, which is fabulous. Not that I would know, wrapped up in my fairy dressing gown. Now, I have a little story to tell. Well, I have a couple of stories to tell. We've been at school for one day, and we've already been made aware of all of this amazing stuff that's going on for these kids, for these teachers, for these parents. And every time we go into these schools, doesn't matter which one, something else comes up. Something else comes up for us to integrate into what it is that we do for everybody. Now, you know, if you watch the show, that Miss Louise, who is not here today, uses circus and other means of helping people transition into aspects of themselves that they're not as familiar with as they would like to be, because we get stuck, you know, old patterns, loops, etc., etc. And there is a sense that there is a childlike energy that she brings in order to do that, because it's safe for people to play. Somehow stepping into adulthood makes things more rigid and serious. People get very serious. Whereas I think the stuff that I do is not that dissimilar, but it is working with the inner child and the actual child. There is, and it keeps coming up again and again whenever I ask about what it is that I do. I get, is it Damiana, the goddess of children? Something about healing and counseling children. And when I get that message, I also see all of the people on the planet as children of the universe. I don't see them as getting to some point in their lives and then becoming something else. They will remain children for all of eternity, because your soul is really a child. Your soul explores as a child explores. Children are the closest thing that we have to an experience of the soul. So for me, we are all children. There is nothing else. Everything else is just a story that we tell. So being back at school with these kids who are having these experiences, and the one place at the moment that they really need some support is around what's going on for them at home between their parents, and between them and their parents as a consequence of that. And yet and I won't say this system or this fear, but there is a sense that there is something that stops people from walking into the one area that they know that kids need a forum to talk about their experiences. We don't even need to give them solutions. I mean, strategies are great, but children are very wise. If we gave them a forum, even for them to talk to each other, there would be something else going on for them. Even though they're still in their situation, there would be something else going on for them. And empowering something, I guess, is what I'm getting at. It's something about having a forum empowers you, even if it's not about solutions. And I think the idea that, you know, the perfect present and the programs that Louise and I are doing are outside of the idea of solutions is for a reason, because solutions mean there is a problem, when really we're just having experiences. So anyway, last night, after all that one day at school and the world explodes, last night I was too tired to play cards on my iPad, so I read this book that my mother-in-law lent to me, who is amazing. She's a channel and a Reiki master and all kinds of other amazing things. When we get together, it's like two powerful doorways have united and half of the universe's multiverses are exposed and all of this information comes in. It's fabulous. There are sparkles and things everywhere, entities coming to the room, and we have all kinds of adventures and remember lots of experiences that we've had in other universes together. It's great. I love it. So she lent me this book. And I've got my fingers over all the vital information. Live Your Divinity. Now, usually when I get given these books, there is a preparation I have to do for just accepting what the information is and translating it as I do all of the data that comes in a way that takes out all of the duality, in a way that takes out any sense of you are on a journey because you're not there yet, or you will be enlightened when you've done X, Y, Z, or there is something to fear because there is some sense of opposition of good and bad or light and dark or whatever it is. I have to take all that language out and translate it in a way that makes sense to me because none of that exists in my universe. So I prepared myself as I started to read this book, Inspiration for New Consciousness, Live Your Divinity. And what's amazing before I even started was the sense that the conversations Louise and I have had about pulling the language out that we need to talk about the programs that we're designing around the work that we do, soul level consciousness came up, because there is not a sense that we're leading people into an enlightenment. What is it that we're doing if we're not changing something or going into a deeper level of something or fixing something or transforming something? Then what is it that we are doing? And if the human level experience is where the duality exists, but we're not saying there's anything wrong with that, we're just saying that there's something more, how do we talk about that awareness expansion? And I guess for me it is about consciousness, even though all of these words are going to have some other concept attached to them and people are going to have their own interpretation of what that means. So the new consciousness, when I started with this work, it was more about the new alchemy, and it still is, but I just find it interesting that this book is talking about new consciousness, and it ties into the kind of things that Louise and I are bringing into the language about the programs that we're offering. So having that human consciousness expand to a soul level consciousness. So you haven't taken it out, you haven't judged it as wrong, you haven't removed it as something that's blocking or getting in the way of or interfering in some way, because none of that is possible. There is no such thing as blocking. So that was the first interesting thing. And I knew that when Sandra gave me the book, there was something vital for me to understand about the bridge that people felt they were crossing, even though there is no bridge, between the human consciousness and their soul level experience. So I started reading this chapter. And it starts off, I am that I am, a Dharmas of sovereign domain from the angelic order of the Crimson Council. So this is a message from Adamus Saint Germain. Saint Germain is a bit tricky. For me, it's an it. It's a frequency. Saint Germain is just something that I have access to, and he's a bit tricky is all I can say. He's all for playing games. He's all for, not drinking and swearing and whatever, but that kind of reality. He's quite grounded. There's something. He's not holier than thou. There's not a sense that you feel like you have to sit up straight when he's in the room. There's something. He'll come in when you're playing, and when you're playing a cheeky game. That's Saint Germain is quite unique in that way, and it is more that adult cheeky game that he comes in. So Saint Germain has been one of the frequencies that I have access to. I want to say communicate with, but it's not that. It's something, I'm not sure how to explain the relationship, but in communication with for quite a while. So reading his channels, I'm not sure what I expected. I did expect them to filter his message with words, shared concepts that people have that are part of the New Age movement. That people get lost in. There's a sense that you come out with one of those concepts and people get lost in that statement, and they go down that road and they attach it to everything they think they're doing and all of the judgments they have about where they are or how good they are or how well they're doing it. And they just get further and further lost in the process. Sometimes it feels like a lot of the channeled messages are just reinforcing the loops that people are in. It's not to say that they're not powerful messages, it's just that the language, because it's being reused, people have their own assessment of what that means to them. And instead of uplifting them into a place where they feel like they can drop more into who they are, they have a sense that they need to be something else. So when I started reading this, it had such a different message. It basically is saying you get what you want. Whatever game you're playing as a sovereign being. And it's not so much saying that you need to wake up. It is more along the lines of what Louise and I are teaching, which is about self-acceptance and soul embodiment. I mean, there's still a little bit of the new energy and the old one, and it doesn't work, and the right and the wrong and whatever, but it's got a lot less of that than most of the conversations you will get in channeled messages. And it's saying that it's still talking about happiness. You will find your happiness, your fulfillment. And just before you do, you will curse the hell out of me, basically, because it will seem like you're in total chaos. And I guess one of the things that Louise and I have been focusing on is how do we stand with you when it looks like that, because it's not that. And whether you feel like you're going to go through the process or not, you're in the process. You're just playing it the way you're playing it. If you'd like to play it in a different way, we can teach you a different way to play that. But then right at the end of the chapter, he says, if all parts of your life are difficult, there's something about it that you love, otherwise it wouldn't be that way. Can you identify how it's serving you and then let it go? Now, that's not exactly the way that Louise and I say it, but it has some incredible resonance with what it is that we say. I mean, we're not saying that you love what's going on, and we're not saying that things are difficult. We're saying that your perception is your experience, and your experience is a conversation. And the conversation is urging you to be consciously aware. And the awareness leads you back to you are a gift and you have an important job, but it leads you back through all of these avenues of self-awareness about the things that you have put in place in order to know those things. And that underneath all of that sits this support system, which is, I feel loved. And any way that you design to have that experience is going to be part of that conversation that leads you back to I am a gift and I have a very important job. But one of the questions that I ask in most sessions, you know, when we get to a point that doesn't make sense, someone says, oh, I didn't ask for that, I didn't want that, how could you say that? Is, well, how does it serve you? Because somewhere it does. Anyway, so that was very exciting, and it led me this morning to get up when I was doing my Living in Two Worlds blog. I'm not very fond of that word, blog. To write about who do I channel. If that is a sense that that is some frequency's message, then who do I channel? So, I mean, okay, let's play. So I drew a few cards. And the first one that kept jumping out, it was bright white, and it kept jumping out of the pack. Even before I finished shuffling, it wouldn't leave me alone, was this one, which makes a lot of sense. Energy healing, Merlin, for a few reasons. Because if I don't see entities as entities, if I don't see energy as either positive or negative, if I see doorways as doorways and everything as frequency, everything is energy. So it would make sense that the answer to my question, what do you channel, is energy. I mean, that's pretty basic, isn't it? But then when I was reading about in the card, which is a Doreen Virtue set, by the way, it came up with his other personalities. Hermes Trismegistus. Teacher of esoteric wisdom. Merlin helps spiritual teachers and healers focus their energies in beneficial ways. He is the magician and sage wizard archetype. Which is very close to what it is that I do. Help spiritual teachers and healers focus their energies. I mean, it says in beneficial ways. That's not the language that I would use. I would just say focus their energies on soul level experience. That's, you know, get them back to I am a gift and I have a very important job, and that's all that matters. And everything else comes into that. So, the next one, the next card, because you have to draw 3. Well, I do. What's this one? So if I'm asking what it is that I channel, let go of struggle, pushing or forcing things to happen. Goddess of compassion. helps with forgiveness, and to have your needs met in gentle and loving ways, which is what the program does, to see that your needs are being met, but perhaps not in the gentlest of ways. So we teach you how to have the conversation so you can have your needs met in gentle ways. And there's something about the notion of compassion. I mean, and letting go of struggle. The whole thing that we say is it's effortless. So the second message in what is it that you channel is effortlessness, the effortlessness of having your needs met in gentle and loving ways. That's perfect. Plus she hears all prayers. Again, more of those significant things. And then, hang on, wait, there's more. This was the third one. Avalokitesvara. Very cool. So part of compassion is empathy, and empathy is the ability to know what someone else's experience is, to understand their motivations. You don't necessarily agree with them, but you understand where they're coming from. You know that they are doing the best they can with what they have. And that's where the duality and the judgment drops out in that moment. And so I started reading what Dorian had said about Avalokitesvara, a pathway to peace. And if you've read some of our stuff, you know that we talk about the pathfinder of oneness. And I know that there's a strong push for peace and sustainability, and, you know, which for me still feel like control, still feel like duality, still feel like judgment, still feel like you have enemies. And so when I was reading the card and it said Pathfinder to Peace, and peace is about empathy, that makes perfect sense. That if you're going for peace on the planet, you have to come back to everyone is doing the best they can with what they have. You know, and if there's something that you have to contribute because you are a gift who has a very important job, is part of your job is contributing so that people learn in particular ways. And it is about having empathy for their situation and empowering them rather than admonishing them. You don't want to tell them there's something wrong with them. You want to tell them what's amazing about them. You want to uplift them. You want them to want to be their soul level experience. You want them to know that they are a gift, that they have a very important job. So all those people who are looking for manifesting peace on the planet, we still come back to that non-judgment, non-duality pathfinder of oneness. And by the way, Avalokitesvara is the male energy form of Kuan Yin, who also hears all prayers. And then beneath everything, beneath the wisdom and energy of that entire channeling, which is really an answer about, I'm going to say what we're all here to do, but it's not so much what we're all here to do. Which is about what the soul level experience is. Pallas Athena. So the storyteller stuff has come up a bit lately. Miss Louise, you know, is a fantastic storyteller. And the idea of letting go of the story, which is the drama, can be a bit frightening, even though the drama itself is the thing that scares you. So I've been thinking about how does that work? How do you keep a story that works for you? And I think it just comes back to that's an aspect of who you are. You know, if you're a storyteller, you don't have to drop being a storyteller. You just drop the drama of the story of being human. And how you negotiate that is up to you because you're sovereign. There's no sense that on a soul level you have to follow these 8 laws. There's no universal laws. There's nothing that says you have to do it this way. Because when you accept all of those aspects of self, they will give you a sense of what to do in each situation, how to come back to soul level experience. I think that's the difference between the course and a lot of the stuff that's available, because there's a sense that really, the same as at school with the confidence at play stuff, it is about how to think rather than what to think. We don't want to give you the 10 steps or the 10 rules. We want to give you a sense of how to find those rules for yourself. They are the very interesting thing about getting this card in the reading, is that Pallas Athena is the Greek goddess of wisdom, a war goddess who uses wisdom instead of weapons. So she's outside of duality. You know, and wisdom is a lived experience. You have knowledge until you live it, and then you have wisdom. And I think it just reinforces all of those. All of those confirmations that I already have. And I just wonder, how can you tune into what it is that you channel? Because you all do, to some degree. There is a sense that when you know who you are, you don't necessarily channel something outside of yourself. You channel a particular aspect of soul level experience. And the idea that you are separate, that somehow that frequency of Saint Germain or that frequency of Archangel Michael or whoever it is somehow outside of you, is an illusion. When you're here on soul level experience, they are aspects, they are frequencies connected to who you are. So what do you channel? And it doesn't have to be an ascended master, it can be something else. It doesn't even have to have a name. I mean, those things only have names because people need to label things. My experience of those frequencies never had a name until someone said, "Oh, don't you know that Metatron is right next to you?" And I when people say that, I get a clear picture of what they can see, and it gives me a base frequency of what they're seeing that I just sense as a frequency. So it doesn't matter what you call it. You don't have to argue with people about, yeah, but it's not archimental, it's this or it's that, or he's evil or whatever. Give it whatever name you want. You can call it George if you like. But there's something about knowing what it is that you are connected to. I mean, it means lots of things. It means that you're never alone. It means that you are intuitive. It means that you get messages when you need them. It means that you can trust yourself. You know, it means that you can trust the situation, even if you're a teacher at a school where there are kids going through things that the system doesn't allow you to talk about. When you tune into those frequencies, you know what to do next. You know, there's always a creative way to be in that situation. It's not necessarily going to bring about consequences. That's back into the control stuff. But it's going to keep you here in this moment on your soul level experience. And anything outside of that is playing the game of future, past, right, wrong. I'm just thinking about Miss Louise laying in bed. Being sovereign. Having the conversation. And whatever happens today, you can have an experience of being sovereign, having the conversation. And if you come out of it, you come out of it. And when you remember that you're out of it, you can have it again. I think I'm just really excited. I'm really looking forward to people doing this process with us. It's going to take us probably a couple more months to set it all up, but people can have one-on-ones with us in the meantime, but there is a sense that offering what we do as an experience, as an intimate experience over time, and there is something in that. I mean, I know that people are looking for instantaneous ways of shifting or changing or healing or whatever it is that they think needs to be done. But there's something about spending time with people, sharing the experience, because that's what you've got. You know, the richness of your existence is your experience. If you try and rush through that to fix something, I'm not sure what it is that you're rushing toward. And you'll have us for 8 weeks. And then after that, there's the community page. I don't know, you get to hang out and we do regular stuff with you, and just so that you know that there's other people putting this stuff into place and jumping between human and soul level experience. But it's really very simple. I mean, I just keep coming back to it is knowing I am a gift and I have a very important job. And whatever tools and training you need to make that your reality. And I think the exciting thing is that we're going to be doing this in everything that we do. I mean, I would love to teach people who create schools and school programs and go into hospitals and all kinds of places to come back to those things. Those very simple, powerful modes of existence. And I'll let you know how the St. Germain book goes, because no doubt each chapter is going to take me somewhere. And I'll let you know how my book goes when it gets published. And at the moment we're setting up the website so you can visit howtobemedicine.com will take you to an invitation to come to the course, howtobemedicine.com. And livingintwoworlds.com will take you to the blog, which will sign you up to the newsletter. The other two sites aren't active yet, otherwise I'd send you straight there. But at least you can stay in touch with us. You can see what we're doing in the meantime. And we'll post stuff on the Google page and Facebook, etc., etc. And if there's anything that comes up for you, just let us know. If you need to send us an email, it's miraclesandwonder@gmail.com. But otherwise, there's the Facebook page and the Google and the YouTube and the everything that this show is connected to. If you post on any of those things, we'll find the message. And we'll answer your question. You know, we'll have that conversation with you. Maybe you want us to draw a card for you. I mean, usually we don't need cards. It was just that. It was just that that's what I was told to do. But if there is something that you'd like to know that we can pick up for you, that would be very exciting. Okay, I'm going to let you get on with your day. Have a fabulous soul level experience. Miracles and Wonder Down Under.